Are you looking for inspiring conversations about faith, film, and life? You're in the right place. Here's the host who knows the right questions to ask, Father Edward Looney.
Hey everybody, it's Father Edward. Grateful you're tuning in for another episode of the podcast. Maybe you caught that. Typically I say, grateful you're tuning in for another conversation. Well, that would mean I'm talking with someone. I'm interviewing someone. I love interviewing people. Today is a solo episode, but don't worry, interview-based episodes are coming back again next week. I know we had a week off, just kind of summer gets to be busy. I know a lot of people have a lot of things going on, and I noticed that summer episodes tend to have lower downloads, so kind of space out my summer episodes then. So feel free to leave me a message on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at FR Edward Looney, even over on YouTube. I don't know if you message on YouTube. I don't know that. But leave a comment, leave something. Let me know your thoughts about kind of the schedule. We'll get back to routine, regular schedule. I do have one episode, one conversation, one interview recorded, actually with the sister of Cardinal Nguyen Thuong Tom. I think that's how you say the name. I forget, but he's a servant of God. You might remember he was in prison, celebrated Mass, said he needed medicine, and the medicine was the Eucharist. Very powerful story, and I talked to his sister, so that's great. I also have been messaging. Sometimes, I see something on Instagram and I'll send a message or leave a comment, and sometimes it yields an interview. So I have a few interviews like that coming up. One with a country music artist who's singing some Catholic lyrics in his songs. So looking forward to all that. So I do encourage you to give me a follow over on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, what else? TikTok, YouTube, all those channels. Everything I'm at FR Edward Looney, except on YouTube I am just Edward Looney because the YouTube channel has existed for ages. And so it's very difficult to change your handle on YouTube, but at FR Edward Looney everywhere else. I've been really focusing on consistent content, typically on the platforms, an image, a picture in the morning, and then a reel in the evening. I've been really working on reflecting like my daily Mass homily. Like I might preach 4 or 5 minutes at daily Mass, but I try to do 1 minute and 30 seconds, a synopsis, the key point, the main point, putting out reels from episodes of, hey, everybody, it's Father Edward, or from my Sunday homily that gets uploaded to YouTube and is found over on Father Edward Preaches. So that's another place where you can get Father Edward content, hear my thoughts on the scriptures, etc. So really working on developing and continuing to grow those social media platforms. If you dedicate the time to it, if you put out the content, it does really seem that you see growth, you see reach, and all that. And what an age we live in. Because this wasn't the case with proclaiming the gospel for the apostles. They had to go individual places. Now we hit record, we send out a message, and people all over the world are able to be touched. And I think it shows how the gospel isn't confined to, my little town of Shawano, but I'm able to reach a great multitude, a great number of people. So enough with that. Would be honored if you give me a follow. So let's see. I have a few topics. Just wanted to do a standalone podcast today. Lots of different things going on. Lots of things that have happened. I just thought that I would kind of reflect on it. I use a little AI program to create little clips from episodes of Hey Everybody, it's Father Edward. I'm really hoping that it will do that with one of these segments and hopefully segment it into 5 different videos so that I can put that out as a series next week on social media. That would be great. We'll see what happens, but lots of things to talk about. End of June 28, 29, we had a missionary preacher at the parish. So I went I went out of town. I had a priest. Interestingly, I hadn't taken a full weekend off from the parish since September of 2023. I went to England in September 2023. So was able to get away. It's just really hard to find coverage. Also, my weekend schedule is really demanding. Not really able for a retired priest to cover that schedule. Fortunately, it looks like the diocese is relieving me of one of my responsibilities in saying mass. So I'm the pastor of Sacred Heart in Shawano, but I say mass in Cecil on Sundays at 9 a.m. and they're relieving me, so kind of makes it a bit more doable for a Sunday mass schedule. Two masses on a Sunday morning rather than like a ping pong back and forth, back and forth. So, anyways, yeah, that's the reason why I haven't really gotten away on the weekends. I do take holiday vacation. I go away, Monday to Friday. I'm back, all that. So, anyways, just mention that. But I seized the opportunity to go to Wichita. I had been invited. I've been good friends with a bookstore owner down in Wichita who has long wanted to bring me to Wichita to speak, and so we messaged back and forth. I said, "Hey, I got this weekend." Initially, a friend and I were going to go to Nashville. I love live music. We're going to just take in music over the weekend. But that didn't happen, and so I messaged and I said, "Hey, let's do something this weekend." And sure enough, she agreed. And I had this great desire to go to Oklahoma City, and Oklahoma City and Wichita are about 3 hours apart, I think, or 2.5 hours, if I'm not mistaken. So to me, that's not far. I drive 2.5 hours to get to a metro airport in Milwaukee, for example. So to me, renting a car in Wichita, driving to Oklahoma City, not that big of a deal. So uh, that was what I wanted to do. I really had a desire to go to the Blessed Stanley Rother Shrine. I also wanted to do the Wichita things, the Diocese of Wichita things. That is Father Emil Capon. And I got to do all of that. Wonderful opportunities that I had. So I go to Oklahoma City to really see this beautiful, beautiful basilica. Well, it's not a basilica. I'm anticipating it one day being named a basilica. It should be. It is one of the most beautiful churches that have been built in the 21st century. One of the most beautiful churches, probably. I'd put it in the top 10. I think it's so beautiful. Maybe people would disagree with me. I don't know. But down in Oklahoma City, the shrine to Blessed Stanley Rother. Let me tell you a little bit about how I came to know about Blessed Stanley Rother. So the first way that I came to know Blessed Stanley Rother was because when I went to seminary at Conception Seminary College, two things. First, there were seminarians from the Archdiocese of Oklahoma City in Oklahoma. And so they talked about Blessed Stanley Rother. Two, Blessed Stanley Rother went to Conception Seminary for maybe a year, for a summer, just in order to catch up, to do some studies. So he was an alumni. They had his picture by what we called the Alumni Union. And the third, actually, so there's three reasons, three ways I came to know about Blessed Stanley Rother. My formation advisor, my first year, was a priest named Father Albert. And he was involved during the summers after seminary would let out. He would leave the monastery. He'd go to Oklahoma City, and he helped advise, or he collaborated in the process of beatification for Blessed Stanley Rother. So three different ways that I came to at least know that name, and really, didn't know much about his story. Knew he was a martyr, knew his story a little bit, but just didn't really speak to me all that much. But over time, you grow in appreciation. You have a fondness for a story like Blessed Stanley Rother's. So number two, when it comes to Blessed Stanley Rother, is that when I was a seminarian, I was studying Spanish in Guatemala. And I was studying at a Benedictine monastery in Guatemala in a little town called Quetzaltenango. Now, I was studying Spanish for 6 hours a day. And to commute, to get around Guatemala City or Quetzaltenango, there were like these buses. They would cram as many people as they could. It was uncomfortable. And so one Saturday, the people around me said, "Hey, let's go to Blessed Stanley Rother and where he was martyred and in a little village called Santiago Atitlan." And I chose not to go. And I was selfish. I'm like, I go to class every day for 6 hours. I don't need to get into a little van, go 2 hours, speak Spanish. I just want to rest. Just want to hang out. I don't want to go. Now, if I would have been 5 years, 10 years older as I am now, like that was, well, it must be 13 years ago, I would say. If I was a little more mature, I would have said, I won't have this opportunity again. I'll go and I'll visit Blessed Stanley Rother and his spot of martyrdom and see the bullet holes in the wall, see his heart that was left there, but I didn't go. There are some regrets I have in life, and one of the regrets I have in life was, in fact, not visiting the place of Blessed Stanley Rother's martyrdom. So there's that. That's my second my second encounter with Blessed Stanley Rother. And so when I heard in Oklahoma City, he was beatified back in 2017, and I thought, okay, well, I'll get to the shrine one day. They were building the shrine. They built it back in early 2020s. They built it like in the architecture of Guatemala. And it's just magnificent. It's stunning. It's beautiful. Words cannot describe this shrine in Oklahoma City. So I came to know of it, and I saw their literature. I don't know, like I got a mailer because I've supported shrines in the past, and I was so impressed with the concept that they sent that I sent them more money than I probably should have. But I'm like, this is something I can get behind. This is something that I can support. And so I sent them my check, and I've sent a few more checks since then. And so I've wanted to go down there as a result, just to see it. And I was so intent on going to see the Blessed Stanley Rother Shrine in Oklahoma City that I was, willing to fly down on a Sunday, visit the shrine on Monday morning, afternoon, fly out Monday night. I was willing to do that journey as part of my day off. That's how badly I've wanted to go to see the shrine of Blessed Stanley Rother. So thankfully, 2.5 hours away, I was able to go there. And it was an incredible, prayerful experience. As I was there, I did a holy hour, and I just kept staring up at this mural that they had, this mural up in the dome or the apse of the little chapel. I was just so impressed by it. There were all of these martyr saints, and it's Stanley Rother really being welcomed by Jesus and surrounded, into the company of the martyrs. And I literally just meditated on heaven, what heaven was like, what that reception into heaven. And that for 1 hour, a holy hour, I meditated on heaven and just using that image. It's a very beautiful, very powerful place. And Learning the story of Blessed Stanley Rother just really inspired my priesthood. I like the fact he's a diocesan priest, though he was a missionary, but he was a priest of Oklahoma City. And so, diocesan priests, we hear a lot about religious orders and saints from those communities, but to have really one of our own as a diocesan priest, to be elevated as a blessed, that's incredible. Two other things that really struck me about Blessed Stanley Rother, and one of the ways that I've been praying for his intercession is simply asking him to intercede for my parish of Sacred Heart in Shawano, that we would have a young man discern the priesthood, go into the seminary. Now, there have been young men that have entered the Norbertines or have gone to seminary, but they weren't ordained. And so I'm praying that God will call forth a priest from the parish right now, in the not so distant future. The story is that Blessed Stanley Rother, when he went to Santiago Atitlan, there were no native vocations from that parish, that little village, in hundreds of years. Blessed Stanley Rother goes, the shepherd does not run. Blessed Stanley Rother stays, he's martyred, and vocations galore. I think 6 young men have been ordained from that parish now. The witness of Blessed Stanley Rother really facilitated, really brought that about. The other thing that really impressed me, amazed me, as I was going through the museum, I saw this stained glass window of Blessed Solanus Casey. A lot of you will know I have a strong devotion to Blessed Solanus. I visit the shrine of Solanus Casey once a year. And let's put Stanley Rother on there now. Next year, I'll go there. I promise these saints I'll visit once a year, and I'll do it. I love the saints. I love these holy men and women. So Solanus Casey, there were these relic badges, and basically touched his tomb or bones or something. And I read there that Blessed Stanley Rother in his rectory in Santiago Atitlan had a relic. And I don't know if it was a relic badge or what it was, but he had a devotion to Solanus Casey. And I thought that was great. I'm like, here I am, this is my affinity. This is my bond with Blessed Stanley Rother. So that was my visit to Stanley Rother. Really incredible visit to Father Emil Capon, his hometown. Reconnected with a priest I went to seminary with, Father Isaac Coulter. I got to have dinner with the Bishop of Wichita. Got to, pray at the tomb of the servant of God, Emil Capon, or Capon, depending what part of Kansas you're from. Really incredible. Why do I chase after the saints? I need their prayers, man. I need the prayers so that I can be who God is calling me to be. I need their prayers so that I can be the priest that God wants me to be. Because I can get in my way. I can get in God's way quite a bit. But with their help, I can be the priest that God is calling me to be. So that's just the first thing I wanted to share on this little episode. Just kind of the musings, the ruminations of Father Edward today. Just the second thing, when I was driving to the airport, I got behind this car. And you all know, like, the Christian fish symbol, and it says Christian or believer or something like that. So I got behind a car on the highway, and this little symbol was not the Christian fish, but it was a satanic emblem, like a satanic fish. In the fish, it said Satan. The license plate of the car said Marduk, which is a Babylonian god. So one of these false gods. And I just really thought about that as I followed that car. That imagine like in your life believing in Satanism so much that you proclaim that to the world. And then imagine, I don't want you actually to imagine this, but just to think about it. But just to think about, if you're declaring, I am this Satanist, loud and proud, telling the world, well, what awaits you? Eternal damnation, the fires of hell. And to say that you are freely choosing that, I want the fires of hell. How awful. What misery that person, not only for all eternity, but how miserable must they be as people? It really broke my heart following this car, and I prayed. I prayed real hard, prayed a rosary for that person. But I was beside myself. I can't imagine like putting your faith in that. It's, by your fruits you'll know them. I was at a restaurant and I thought, and it was close to the Shrine in Champion, and there's a table, a mom and three, daughters, and I just looked at them and I thought, they're Catholic. They went to the shrine, and sure enough, their food comes and they say, "Bless us, O Lord," and make the sign of the cross. And what I said to myself was like, I could tell even before they did that they were believers. There was something exuding from them, and that was because they love God, because they pray, and that's overflowing from their life. So much so that it bore witness to me at a table nearby. Imagine this person, Satan on his back car. He doesn't have that fruit. I don't think somebody would say, I would look at this guy if he was at the table. I would just say, wow, that man really looks sad. It looks like he needs something. So, and that was another thing. Just wanted to reflect with you about. Also, another little experience, maybe worthy of sharing. I was with two priests down in Illinois, and one was visiting from out of state. I was from out of state. We were visiting our friend that's the pastor at this parish, and he had decided that it was a good idea to take us to a little town in Illinois called Nauvoo. Have you ever heard of Nauvoo? I couldn't say that I had, but he just thought it was like one of those unique places we wouldn't choose to go, and so he's taking us there. We're kind of hostage, but we go to Nauvoo. It's the place where Joseph Smith is buried, so we went to the grave of Joseph Smith, the founder of Mormonism. There's a huge temple to Mormonism there. The Catholic Church is like the next block down, so imagine that, And went to Nauvoo, experienced it, went to the grave, like I said, of Joseph Smith, and we're walking up. It's a beautiful little gardened area, and we're walking up to the grave of Joseph Smith, and there's a young man who's sitting on the bench there. And so, we kind of strike up a conversation. He strikes up a conversation. He was listening to something in his ears. It wasn't like he was praying. Maybe he was meditating. I don't know. But he was just there. We visit the grave. We take our pictures, all that. And then we start talking, and we're not dressed in clerics. We're dressed down. We were on the Mississippi, and so, kind of generic, didn't want to tell him we were priests. We just said we had a great interest in religion, all that. My friends walk away and I tell them, hey, we're a bunch of priests, so we're Catholic priests. And he began sharing with me. And actually, interestingly, he was from Wisconsin, from the Madison area. Said he visited a church down in the Madison area quite often, and he moved to Nauvoo to be a missionary there. And as we were conversing, he's like, "Yeah, I went to this church, and I would just sit there, and I was really struck because he kept saying that he worships Jesus Christ, and well, we worship Jesus Christ, and I know there's all these discourses online. I've seen them about Mormonism, and I don't participate. I don't know too much. That's an area of the world I haven't studied or come to know much about. But yeah, I was just really impressed by, I worship Jesus Christ, and he said I would go in the Catholic Church there, and I would just sit in the church, and I would feel the presence there. Like, oh wow, okay. Well, let me tell you, you're feeling the presence of Jesus, who you worship. He's present there, body, blood, soul, and divinity in the Holy Eucharist. He didn't realize that. And one of the things he said was this. He said, I sat in that church, and no one ever said hello to me. No one ever greeted me. No one ever said, what's your story? Why are you here? And it's not like he wanted to convert people to Mormonism, or I don't think he showed up in his, Mormon get up or anything like that. Even at this grave, he was in shorts and a t-shirt. But maybe we missed the boat as Catholics there. That we didn't invite him into our boat. Because maybe he felt the presence there. Maybe we could have helped him to embrace the fullness of truth that is the Catholic faith. It just made me think about, are we missing out on different aspects of evangelization, the ministry that we're not doing? So, yeah, that was an interesting experience, interesting conversation. Learned a little bit about Mormonism from him, etc. But yeah, I was impressed by the young man as well. The next thing I have on my little list, I have a notes app up of different things that I want to talk about on this episode. I don't know if you heard this, but there was a new Marian apparition that was, well, it's not new. It happened a while ago, but the church gave its approval or something like that. It's really hard to talk about these things today because they've changed a little bit. But here's a news story from Aladea. The Vatican granted nihil obstat to this Slovakian Marian apparition site, which now permits public devotion to Our Lady of Mount Zvir, ZVIR, which claims to be the spot Mary appeared several times between 1990 and 1995. So it says the Vatican permits public devotion. There were 83 alleged messages from 1990 to 1995. It says to 2 young girls. Now, let's see. The Vatican says the messages of Our Lady of Mount Zvir can help us live the gospel. The message of Our Lady of Mount Zvir, let Jesus set you free, and do not let your enemy limit your freedom, for which Jesus shed so much blood. Here's another message from June 4th of 1995. Live simply, think simply, and act simply. Seek out the silence, so that the Spirit of Christ may be born anew within you. The wonders of our technology today, I whether or not I should admit this, I said to ChatGPT, tell me everything you can about the Marian apparition in Mount Zvir, Slovakia. Says that Mount Zvir overlooks the small Byzantine Greek Catholic village of Litmanova in northern Slovakia, near the Polish border. It sits at 820 meters in elevation, surrounded by forests and meadows. And now, what I read from you from Alatea said that there were two visionaries, but here it says on August 5th, 1993, children, Aveta, 11, Katerina, 12, and Katka's brother, Mitko, so that's Katerina's brother, 9, encountered an apparition of the Virgin while seeking shelter in a small cabin. The figure appeared bathed in light, wearing a white dress, blue cloak, veil, and crown, and holding a rosary. So that's from the Pillar Catholic. Ivetka and Katka experienced multiple apparitions, often on Sundays. So that's the two. So initially 3, but 2 visionaries then, for the most part. Often on Sundays after the first Friday. So you'd have first Friday and then the next Sunday. So sometimes that would have been the second Sunday, because you could have the first Sunday be before the first Friday, and then you would have the next Sunday being the second Sunday of the month. Avatka heard messages Katka saw but did not hear. Okay, that's interesting. Apparitions occurred regularly until August 6th, 1995. So I read you this little meme from June 4th, 1995. So that was one of the last messages. Mary reportedly announced her final appearance then. Okay. Says that the Virgin Mary identified herself as immaculate purity, calling the faithful to prayer, conversion, and simplicity. And these are the notable messages, according to ChatGPT. Let Jesus set you free, and do not allow your enemy to limit your freedom for which Jesus shed so much blood. So that's what I read from you from Alatea. That was December 5th, 1993. A soul that is free is the soul of a child. Okay. And then this is one. I love you just as you are. I want you to be happy. But this world will never make you happy. August 7th, 1994. Begin to live simply, to think simply, and to act simply, emphasizing interior peace and gospel living. Some messages contained ambiguous and problematic content. Oh, that's interesting that the church would give the nihil obstat. Statements linking illness broadly to sin or condemning people from certain regions. These were seen as figurative or subjective internal experiences by the investigators. So, okay. And then the discernment by church authority here. A local commission under Archbishop Jan Babček investigated the phenomena. There's a decree in 2004. In 2008, the site was officially declared a Greek Catholic pilgrimage site. In 2025, under revised Vatican norms, Cardinal Victor Manuel Fernandez, prefect for the Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith, grants a nihil obstat to the devotion and public worship. This authorizes the faithful to safely participate in pilgrimage and prayer there, but does not affirm supernatural authenticity of the apparitions. The nihil obstat was based on extensive spiritual fruit, ongoing pilgrimages, heartfelt confessions, conversions, positive theological content of most, note the word most there, messages, a pastoral decision to allow devotion while excluding ambiguous messages from official publications. Okay. So that's a little bit about the Mount Zvir. So really approving the devotion, not necessarily the messages. There's a chapel to the Immaculate Conception. There's a spring believed to have healing properties called the Source of St. John the Baptist. Water from it is consumed by pilgrims. And there have been 2 daily liturgies and confessions there since 2009. Visionaries. Yeah, so there you go. A little bit about a new Marian apparition. Not new, it's from the 1990s, but new in the sense of the church has said, hey, I think we could look at this, and I think you could go there, and you can really have some spiritual fruit take place as a result of being there. So there's that. Mount Zvir, Our Lady, there. Pray for us. Add that to the list of places I should visit in my life and share with all of you. I think what it shows you, even if there's a little problematic message that the church is able to say, hey, there's value. And I think you see that with other apparitions recently that statements have been made about too. So some people are critical of the new norms. I think that we should keep an open mind about the norms, and because it allows for statements like this, church no longer ignoring it, but saying, hey, this is it. This is what we think about this. So giving it the nihil obstat for devotion. Finally, I just wanted to make mention of, I saw the movie Superman. I have always had a great love for Superman. There are other superhero movies that I don't really care for, never really have taken a liking to. But Superman, I remember watching Lois and Clark on TNT growing up. And just, always was a Superman kind of guy. I'm sure I went as Superman one year for Halloween. I really think you can draw parallels between Superman and Jesus. And I did a YouTube video on that. You can go and watch that if you want. One of the things, too, I'll say this about the Superman movie first, is that there is bad language. There is, the name of the Lord taken in vain. I don't approve of that, right? I am against taking the name of the Lord in vain. But yeah, so take that for what it is. So I do make the parallel that Superman is like a Christ figure to the people. I really drew out this these scenes of like the passion of Superman in the movie, like really mirroring the scourging, the betrayal first, the betrayal, the scourging, the betrayal, the arrest, the scourging of Superman. But then, how he overcomes it all, just like Jesus overcame it all. At the end of the movie, there was a moment where like a young boy was just on the screen saying, Superman, 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 like trying to, in a sense, manifest Superman and having him come. But I just look, I thought that like, that's prayer. That's invocation. That's, it'd be like saying, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. But, so there, I saw a parallel there even as well. So Superman, I saw a little bit of faith in that. Maybe you do too. Maybe you've seen it. Anyways, leave your comments. That's everything I think I wanted to cover today. Everything. I got it all in. Grateful that you listened to my ruminations, my ramblings today about Blessed Stanley Rother. Learn about him. If you're in Oklahoma City, go there. Maybe try to make a pilgrimage there. There are a lot of places to go on pilgrimage in the United States. I'd rank that highly as a place to go. Pray for the conversion of those who are Satanists, for the conversion of Mormons, to the Catholic faith, that they come to realize that the Jesus they're worshiping is really contained in the tabernacle and that you can receive him and have communion with him. So many things to pray for. And so much also just to be grateful for as well. I'm grateful for you, that you've tuned in to, hey everybody, it's Father Edward today. If you like the show, share it with others. It really does help if you rate and review it on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. It gets it before other people. If I share a clip, please feel free to share, that clip on your socials as well. It's as easy as just clicking share. Hopefully I'll see you over on social media. I'll be with you again next time with another conversation. Next time it will be a conversation. It will be an interview. I think doing these standalone shows every now and again just gives you little updates, things that are occupying my mind and allowing me to share something with you. Always open to suggestions for the show, for the podcast. I've been thinking about bringing all my homilies into Hey Everybody, It's Father Edward, so that everything is just in one place. I'd be interested. Do you have thoughts, comments about that? Leave them, especially if you're watching on YouTube. Otherwise, send me an email, send me a message on socials. Until next time, may God bless you and Mary pray for you. We'll see you real soon.
If you liked today's episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening. And don't forget to stay up to date with what Father Edward is doing by following him on Facebook, X, or Instagram at the handle @FrEdwardLooney. Thanks for listening, and please join Father Edward again next time for another inspiring conversation.